All right, everyone, welcome back to the United Spotlight. And we're here again today to talk about another Man United loss. And I'm going to go in more what I think about the whole club and the team, but I just want to quickly talk about the goals we conceded against Forest because I've just been and watched them back and studied them. And there's a lot of people out there just constantly blaming Scott McTominay. And we'll get on to Scott McTominay coming on for Mainu and tactical reasons and Eric Ten Hag in a minute. I just want to talk about these goals because he's getting hammered, McTominay, for these goals. I've just watched Match of the Day, paused it, and watched the goals back about 5 or 6 times. On the first goal, he points at Dominguez. He puts his arm back and he tells Johnny Evans to pick him up. And he goes and pushes on to the next man, which, as a midfield player, is fine. What happens then? The real problem comes from whoever was playing left wing at the time, because the left, was it Delo at left back in a 2-on-1? No help from the left winger. It'd be Garnacho. So they pass the ball through, past Delo. Johnny Evans has to leave Dominguez to stop him from coming in and shooting. So he's left his man because Garnacho isn't back supporting Delo in a 2-on-1 situation. From there, it's squared to Dominguez and he scores. I mean, okay, either you got two things going on there, but it all happens so quick. Johnny Evans either needs to mark the space and not run out and close the guy down who made the pass to Dominguez and just block. Or before he does it, he needs to tell McTominay to get back and pick Dominguez up. But it all happens so quickly, I don't think there's a lot McTominay can do about it. If you really analyse that goal, go away and watch it and study it again. You'll see it comes from Delo being passed round too easily because he's got two men. That drags Johnny Evans out, that leaves Dominguez, who can then just tuck it in the net. I think I'm not here protecting McTominay and thinking McTominay is everything that's sliced bread and he's amazing. He shouldn't be playing, but he's scapegoated for everything. And I'll say, and again, in the second goal, there's another reason why I'll back McTominay up on this one. We go on a counter attack. Eriksen has a shot on the edge of their area. Bear in mind, he's the other sitting midfielder on the edge of their area. Where's Bruno Fernandes at this point? Where does he? He's in the box as well. The ball is then squared to Fernandes, who either bottles out going into attack with the defender or does a dummy when no one's behind him. They get the ball, break on us. Where are our midfield? Two of them are in their 18-yard box. Again, McTominay, and we say it about every other defensive midfielder, whether it's Casemiro, Mainu, Amrabat, they're left on their own to do two people's job. And this happened to McTominay on the second goal. Go back and watch it. They transition. Bruno and Eriksen are jogging back from being too high up the pitch. There's huge space all over the entire pitch. What happens is McTominay is dragged out a bit to go and help the left back. Maybe he shouldn't go there. You could be critical on him and say that. He probably should hold the middle a little bit more. And then they just square it and score. But if it was any other central defensive midfielder doing what McTominay did for that second goal, they wouldn't be blaming him. They'd say he's left on his own again. Where's the other midfielders? He's doing the job of what, two men? And I'm not here, like I said, protecting McTominay, but the goals are not his fault. If you actually, because the problem is a lot of these other channels and that lot, they react after seeing it once. They react after the edge of the game. If you go back and actually watch it and analyse the goals, they're not his fault. Or maybe he can do better, but so could the rest of the team. And we hammer people like McTominay, and we forget that Bruno Fernandes is the captain of our team. He cannot hold the ball. I don't know what. He's so bad. I mean, I don't even know. Every time I come on here, I rant about him. I do not get this. He's a creator. He's our best player. He is not good. And he's our captain. And I'll say it again, like I said it last time and the time before and the time before. We were putting in better performances with Maguire as captain, and everyone was slating Maguire for being a crap captain. Bruno is His basics are terrible. His basic passing is so bad. His positional sense for a captain and a midfielder is absolutely horrific. I mean, I don't get where he's playing half the time. And people say, oh, yeah, but he's all over. He's doing the best he can. He's 1 minute he's left back, 1 minute he's up front, 1 minute he's in centre back. Why? He's one of the three midfielders. We won't get run through like we did on the second goal and many other goals this season if Bruno Fernandes, instead of running off to the left wing or left back, just dropped back 10 yards and filled the midfield up. People don't get it. They just see that he, every now and again, 1 in 50, he yoofs it over the top to Rashford and we score. The reality of it is, he's not a creator. He's not a risk taker. He's a possession loser. His passing and possession stats in the Premier League are some of the worst in the entire league. I can guarantee the other creators around the league, Foden, Odegaard, De Bruyne, even people like Douglas Luiz and them people at Villa, people like Szoboszlai and all that lot for Liverpool, they will not have possession stats like him, and they're all risk-taking players because, one, a risk-taking player takes a risk when a risk is there to be taken. The rest of the time, they pass the ball 10 yards. He takes a risk every single time he gets the ball. And the times when he does play a 10-yard pass, it's that bad he won't get into my Sunday League team. I'm sick of him. That where he steps over the ball in their box to dummy it and there's nobody behind him. What is he doing? I don't get it. I don't get the Bruno thing. I think he's been a horrific captain. He's petty. He's out of position all the time. He obviously cannot influence that team when he's on the pitch. Because as I've said before, if a captain thinks that the manager's decisions are wrong and it's not going right on the pitch, it's up to him to sometimes lead the team on the pitch, and he doesn't do it. Well, how Bruno leads the team on the pitch is he spits his dummy out the pram and starts giving away stupid free kicks and he's out of position all the time. That ain't a captain. That is somebody who's lost their head. And anyway, that's my rant on him. Rashford, he had, one touch in the box and he scored. Basically our only chances from their keeper passing it out to Garnacho. We didn't create anything else. Sick of Rashford as well. If you've been around the channel for any time or even watched any of my videos, you'll know full well what I think about Rashford. We should have sold him to PSG 3 years ago. The guy isn't good enough. The only thing he can do is run in behind if there's loads of space in behind, which is why Villa was such a good game for us, because Villa are wide open at the back. We weren't good against Villa. We were 2-0 down. People forget we're 2-0 down against Villa. If Villa weren't so naive and just dropped off 10 yards, we wouldn't have scored. But for some reason, Emery, he's done it a couple of times this season. He just continues to play that mega high line. And we have got Rashford, Garnacho, Højlund, who were well quick in behind. We were always going to score in that game. If they'd have just gone, oh, God, we've got 2-0, however they've done it. And by the way, I don't think either of them goals were Onana's fault in the Villa game. The first cross, that happens to keepers and defences. They're anticipating a touch, it don't happen, it goes in at the back post. Seen it hundreds of times. That ain't his fault. And the second goal, people are saying it is his fault. It's no way his fault. There's 4 defenders on the line with him. Why are none of them 5 yards off the line defending the people who were taking the shots while they all stood next to Onana? I just don't get it. It's horrific. But, I mean, for me, and going now on to the actual team, for me the problem is not the defence. People go, we need centre-backs, we need this, Onana's crap, the full-backs are crap, and yet they might not be exactly what we want. But I've played football for a long, long time, a lot of years, as a centre-back, and I know for a fact that if your midfield and forwards cannot keep the ball, you'll be under pressure as a defender constantly because the ball goes forward and it comes back. We play like a Sunday League team. Honestly, we do. We get the ball in midfield, we oof it to a fast striker. one time in 20 they might get it. The other 19 times the ball comes straight back on you as a defence. You cannot sustain that. You will always give up chances when you're giving the ball back to the opposition constantly, constantly, constantly. There's nothing worse as a defender than trying to get out, and as soon as they get the ball, it's back in, and you've got to turn and run back the opposite way. What you want is your midfield to get hold of the ball, take the sting out of the game. Your forwards, your wingmen to get hold of the ball and keep it. We play like a Sunday League team. I'm not even joking at that. It's backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. It's not sustainable at all. And the problem is, we don't create any chances from it. Like, if you do it in Sunday League, you have a fast striker, eventually they'll get on the end of one. We never do. And this is why I'm saying 1 in 50 of Bruno's things come off, because they're all down the defenders' throats and that. And the forwards don't anticipate it. I mean, to me, that isn't tactics. That's not even counter-attack. That is literally, they've got no idea what they're doing. And that's on Erik ten Hag. Going on to Erik ten Hag and whether he should be sacked or not. Right, let's split this up. Should Erik ten Hag be sacked? This is not my opinion. This is based on previous managers, results, points, the lot. In this right here, right now, with this league position, we're out the cups before Christmas. We've got the worst points tally into New Year ever, Man United, with the second lowest goal scoring side in the league. Should he be sacked? Don't sack him because we get a new ownership. Don't sack him because we ain't got a new manager lined up. Forget all them reasons. Based on his results and the way we're playing and the structure of the team and no play style, if we were 3 years ago and this was Ollie doing this, we'd want him sacked. So based on that, yes, he should be. The caveat is, we don't want to go around the same cycle again and again and again. We need to wait for Jim to get in, Brailsford, Mitchell, Blanc, whoever they're getting in, to put something in place above him and see from January to the summer, if we do make a signing or two in January with them lot helping him out and we get a few people back from injury, can he turn into performances around between now and the summer? Because I think if we carry on with this 1 win, 1 loss, 1 win, 1 loss, 2 losses, 1 win football, he will not be here in the summer. There'll be a mutual agreement and his contract will be terminated at the end of the season if this carries on. If we're still playing like this in March, gone. Based on results, play style, and everything else, 3 years ago, he won't be here now. But because of the situation we're in as a club with no CEO, partial takeover happening, nobody's there above him who knows what they're doing. We've got no money. We can't sack him now. But I just want to list off some, and I've basically done it like, people say he's got loads of injuries. When we get the injuries back, we'll be a better team. Well, we probably will, but who's injured? Martinez, fair enough. He probably will help out at the back a bit. Luke Shaw. I mean, we're talking about Luke Shaw like he'll come back and revolutionise us. He come back a couple of weeks ago and he's bang average. He is as injury prone as any of them. People want Varane out the club because he's 30 and injured all the time. I can guarantee you Shaw is out injured more or just as much. He's probably as injury prone as frigging Martial. But because everyone perceives Martial has been lazy, nobody calls Shaw out for it. Shaw is another Martial. He's been here 10 years, won basically nothing. He's part of the ingrained culture of that dressing room, and he's injury prone. Yes, he's a very good player on his day, but so are a lot of our players. But you can't be a very good player on your day. You need to be a very good player every day. And that's the difference. Shaw should go. There'll be loads of United fans out there thinking, what are you on? But just think about it a minute. 10 years. Been through all the dressing rooms, all the managers. Jose Mourinho wanted rid of him. He's injury prone. He's inconsistent. Is that not 5 things that all of our players are? And I mean, I don't want to go on for too long again, so I'll try and wrap this up a bit, but I've just on a bit of a tangent. But yeah, I mean, Eric Ten Hag, he come in, everyone thinks, yes, we're going to play this possession style. He's coming from Ajax, academy players, great style of football. The people he's bought, I've said it before, I'm not going to list them again. They're all crap. They're rubbish. I mean, if he wants to play a possession style, which he's come out and now said, I'll never play that at Man United, well, that's one reason. This is why we all wanted him in the first place, to stop this basketball football. And he's saying he can't do it. 2, he bought Mount. What for? Why is Mount not playing, by the way? Personally, I think he stripped the captaincy off Harry Maguire. Bruno's pretty much the only replacement or the only person who would take it on. He's giving it to him. Bruno's having an absolute stinker of a season for all the reasons I just told you a minute ago. And I think deep down in Ten Hag's head, he wants to play Mount. But you can't take Bruno out of the team now. He's made him captain, else he's out in 2 captains in 2 years. It makes him look an absolute idiot. That he's making people captain that are not up to it. And I think that's the honest truth. I think he did buy Mount to replace Bruno. Or at least play with Bruno, but for some reason they can't do it. I mean, just on yesterday, before the game, he's coming out and say, we can compete with the top 3. He's talking absolute crap. We drew with Liverpool the other week in a one-off game where basically they had 90% of the ball and we tried to boot it over the top and get a goal. That's not competing. That's luckily staying in the game and hoping we nick one. We're nowhere near the top 3. We're nowhere near the top 4. On a one-off game, we might get a draw out of them or sneak a win. But losing to Man City and Liverpool are not our problem. Our problem is we can't beat Nottingham Forest. We can't beat Bournemouth. He shouldn't even be. He should forget about the top 3 and sort out beating the lower teams first. Because we cannot beat a team that had set up defensively for all the reasons I mentioned before with Bruno, because we're allergic to possession. So as soon as they sit back, we hoof balls out the window, and we're too crap in possession to break anyone down. Which is why I'd tear the team up completely. The back 4 is the back 4. It can stay as it is, but I'd play probably Mainu, Amrabat, and I don't like Amrabat. I think he's crap as well. But I'd play him in a double pivot, and I'd play Mount. And this is where people will probably think I'm crazy, but I'd probably play Garnacho on the right, and I would play Højlund and Martial. Because people will have a go at me saying about Martial, but at least he can get hold of the ball and pass it. Højlund, to me, isn't good enough to be a Man United first team striker yet. He's got some potential, but he's not the cut in it, is he? He scored 1 goal in 15 Premier League games. So whether you say he's got any service or not, Martial didn't get any service, Ronaldo didn't get any service, Cavani didn't get any service, but they still scored some goals. So, I mean, think what you like of it, but we need to players in the midfield and up front who look after the ball. Eriksen can do it, but his legs are not there. His legs, he can't run, he can't tackle. It showed on the Nottingham Forest goal yesterday, the second one where he's jogging back. He's been a good signing for us. He's been steady in that midfield, but I'm afraid he's finished. So I'd probably play Mainu, Amrabat, Mount, and I'd play Garnacho as a flair player up there, and I'd play Højlund and Martial. I mean, you can't carry on just blindly playing Bruno, in my opinion. He don't do out. He does nothing. Absolutely nothing. And everybody was on Rashford for him doing nothing. Bruno does less. He might run around more, but actually on the ball, he does no more than Rashford does. I mean, and Ten Hag, I mean, like I say, do we want him out? I say, personally, I think he should be sacked. Do I think we should sack him? No. I think we should wait till the summer. We need these lot in ASAP, this review to happen of the club, and we need to see action. I would rather spend nothing in January, not a penny, and we get rid of some of these players. Like Sancho has to go. He cannot be here beyond January. Even if we're paying half of his wages, he cannot be at this club. Then you've got the likes of Maguire, who we were going to sell, McTominay. I mean, loads of them. Wan-Bissaka was crap yesterday. If you look at the second goal on Wan-Bissaka, he runs all the way back from the halfway line, doesn't see the danger in the centre of the field and just runs back to his right back position. I've said it loads of times about Wan-Bissaka as well. He's a good tackler, he's not a good defender. His positional awareness is terrible. He's crap at passing. He might get you out of a sticky situation with a one-on-one tackle every now and again. But positionally and as an actual fullback, he's terrible. And people get on at Dalot. Dalot is stealthily one of our best players. He can play right back, left back. He does the inverted fullback thing in midfield and tucks in. He'll go get the ball off the centre backs loads of times in midfield. Yesterday he's up in there half hitting the post, pretty much the only other chance we had. Dalot is fine. Dalot is a good player. All right, sometimes one-on-one he might get isolated and get beaten or whatever, but every fullback gets beaten now and again. But his all-round game, he's a good player, Dalot. Why is Dalot getting put on out at left back when we've got Reguilon on the bench? You know, he plays every single week, Dalot. He's a good player. He's one of our best players, in fact, Dalot. And people won't like me saying that either because they'll think, oh, he's crap, Dalot. He gets beaten all times, this, that, and the other. He can keep the ball. He can play inverted fullback. He can play on both sides. He's a good player. But anyway, again, I'm ranting. But that's my thoughts. I mean, on a couple of players, on the situation with Eric Ten Hag. The status of the club at the minute is just an absolute farce. We can't sack him until the summer, in my opinion, when the structure's in place and we know what we need to do going forward. There's nobody to take over at the minute. Who we're going to get? Fletcher, McLaren. We're not going to get a proper interim. There's no one else really available right now. We're not in anything to win anyway. We're not getting top four. We're out of the Champions League. We're out of the Carabao Cup. We're not winning the FA Cup when Liverpool and Man City and all them lot are in it. So there's no point sacking him now. Just wait until the summer to see what happens between now and then when we've got a couple of players back and we might buy one or two and what we get rid of and what the next 6 months happens. Even if Ten Hag gets sacked in the summer, he'll surely give valuable information to Jim and his lot between now and then to say who's cutting it and who doesn't. And we might see some change in summer. Even if the manager goes, we might see some of the big players go. Because there's always talk about Varane and Casemiro going. Yeah, they're on a lot of money. Yeah, they're old. They're also two winners who have won loads and have not been here that long. You've got people like Martial, Rashford, Bruno, Shaw, Maguire, who have been here through all the crap years on loads of money, and nobody seems to want them out. But because Varane hasn't been in the club for 2 minutes, everyone wants him gone. But anyway, I'll stop ranting now, and I'll see you on the next one. Poosh.